Hey, what's up, guys? It's time for another Season 4 character wishlist discussion video. Joining with me is Mir. What's up, man?
Oh, doing well, thanks.
You'll notice that you can actually see Mir's face because we're upgrading here. We're upgrading.
Yeah, we upgraded, didn't we?
We figured out how to work Discord. So, that's good. We were gonna do... Remember when I said we're gonna do, like, low-tier characters now, Mir? Well, I basically lied because I forgot I forgot about Menat, the last top 5 character we didn't go over yet. So we should definitely get this character out of the way here, and then we'll focus on some low tiers. So Menat, okay, when she was released in Season 2, I do remember doing a video with Sonic Soul, and I was like, man, she's got a lot of potential, She's got a lot of potential.
The P word.
Yes.
The P word.
She's got a lot of potential, but after her release, she just didn't have... The players didn't really have too much time to explore her fully, obviously, because she's a pretty complex character. And but one thing for sure was, ever since her release to this day, she's an extremely popular character. Ton of costumes already. People really like Menat as a brand new character too.
Yeah, I feel like they nailed the design, and I mean, she's clearly waifu material, so you know people are gonna be on that. And I mean, then she also happened to become really good. So
yeah. So fast forward a little bit in Season 3, despite her being kind of unexplored still, she got massive buffs in Season 3. The list of buffs she got were small, but they were significant to her gameplay. And I feel like she hit the top of the tier list shortly afterwards. Now, since she is a pretty hard character to master, there were very few amount of players that have, figured out their own style with her. But players such as, I'd say, Infiltration, Jay Wong, and of course Sako, they all have their own styles of playing her and figuring out what she excels at, and how to play her properly. I feel like these guys are the founders of that character. And I don't know, I would say she's the hardest character in the game to master. You agree?
Yeah, she's definitely up there. I mean, the just V Trigger 1 alone is so much work, Like, first of all, understanding all the opportunities that you can create, and all the combos that you can get, especially because you just have so many options, Like, and optimizing off of stray hits and like even orb placement, all of that. Yeah, that definitely makes for a very complicated character.
Yeah, the only
but rewarding too, as we've seen.
Yeah, very. I think Dalsum's another hard character to master, but the reward isn't as big as Menat.
Yeah, he's more, I would say, like the mechanical requirements are very high for Dalsum, but the game plan overall, is simpler than Menat's.
Okay, so let's talk about some notable changes real quick here, and there's pretty much only 2. The first one being Soul Spark, a new special move for her.
Yes.
Big change. You can go ahead and explain this one, Mir.
Well, okay, so first of all, like you said, she didn't have this at all. It's not just a buff, right? Like, they added a entirely new special move, and the way it works is that when you have your orb out, that you can deploy with your Corsico forward punches, you can use the Soul Spark, and it's a big explosion on screen, so it's a massive hitbox. It's a juggle starter from the right distances, and it causes it's a lot of chip damage on block.
Yeah.
And it's basically safe, like the frame data is. You cannot punish her for it, so it's safe pressure from full screen, basically. Because before she had a gap, I would say, in her game plan, in the sense that if you had the orb out, you could always recall it, and if the opponent was doing something, it would catch them and deal damage. But there was no other option. That was the only thing that you could do with the orb. But now, if the opponent is not doing anything, you can just Soul Spark, and it's chip damage. It's basically free damage on block.
Yeah.
So that really helps.
Like, her biggest weakness, right off the bat, when we're talking about Menat, she's just so dependent to have the orb on her. Like, all of her normals become weaker, of course, when the orb is out. But with Soul Spark, she's able to bring the orb back instantly while having an immense hitbox kind of jailing the opponent away from her. And if it hits, it's such a massive reward. And of course, it buffs her V-trigger combos as well. It is just a fantastic move to her arsenal that covers one of her biggest weaknesses. You know,
it was the missing piece, I would say, of the puzzle.
It's kind of like giving Zangief Green Hand, you would say.
Please.
Oh, man. Anyways, the second most significant change for Menat was Sako. The player Sako, I'm serious, man. He has found some ridiculous ways to use her V-trigger post-activation. You know, Sako has really figured out, like, okay, if my V-trigger didn't land, he's still gonna find many ways to land it on you afterwards. And it makes her V-trigger so OP, so to speak, for a 2-bar. It's so hard to defend yourself. There's so much pressure that happens. And it's really funny because, you know, Menat starts off as a zoner. And then when she activates, all of a sudden, she's just on you. You know, it's just crazy.
The best rushdown character in the game.
Yeah, the best rushdown. Just so much pressure, man. It's really funny. But yeah, I think Sako's really like put this character on the map.
I feel like it's very interesting in the sense that Menat as a character, there's this big, I would say, dissonance between lower skilled players, and not necessarily bad players, just lower skill, and you know, the top players, because people like Sako can really make her tool set shine, you know, like having V-trigger and being able to do all the crazy things that she can do with V-trigger 1, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, like I said, the players that are not as good, not having the same options.
Yeah.
That really shows how powerful the character can get. But at the same time, and we'll go over that later, I guess, you cannot just, you know, just nerf V-trigger 1, just, you know, reducing damage or whatever, because it would hurt the lower skilled players as well. So much more.
Exactly. Okay, so let's get to it. The wish list part for Menat. It looks like we just asked for nerfs here. I don't see any bugs here. Spoilers. Well, let's just start with the V-trigger. Right off the hop here, I think we both agree that V-trigger 1 should be put to 3 bars. It is the amount that it's explored now, the amount that players know about it. I'm playing some online Menats that are doing some crazy stuff already. It's to the point now where it's so powerful. It's like Ibuki's V-trigger 2 now. Everyone just understands how it works. And for the lower skill gap of players, or the people that are beginning with Menat, they can simply just buff V-trigger 2 a little bit on the damage and keep that at 2 bars. And V-trigger 1 is for the people that really want to master the character.
And V-trigger 2 would be much more appealing.
Yeah.
Like already, because V-trigger 1 would be nerfed to 3 bars, right? So like you would have a reason to pick it, right? It's, you know, your 2-bar option.
Right. There's no,
so that would
like,
already be buff.
I saw Infiltration try using V-trigger 2, try to figure out something, and there is some stuff. I'm not saying V-trigger 2 is bad, but when you compare it to V-trigger 1, it's no contest. You know, especially when they're both 2 bars. I mean, what are you gonna do, right? So that helps V-trigger 2 right off the hop. But yeah, V-trigger 1, man, being 3 bars, I'm sure Menat players will still use it anyways, right? It just won't happen so early.
And this goes hand in hand with what I was saying before, the fact that you're not nerfing the possibilities that V-trigger 1 offers, but you're still nerfing its effectiveness by making it 3 bars instead. So it's harder to get, but you can still do the same stuff.
Right.
Which is what we want to keep, because that's what makes the character unique.
Like, Capcom really has to look at these 2-bar V-triggers and look at the potential, because especially the reset ones, the ones that have a lot of reset potential, those are the really scary V-triggers that have at 2 bars, because you're basically allowing an OTK, like, 1 combo kill potential that early in the stage of the game at the 2-bar level, you know? I think it's too crazy. It's before, you know, your opponent even gets to use their V-trigger. I just think it's too nuts for a 2-bar.
Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely agree.
Okay, moving on. Now, of course, me and Mir have talked about the hurtbox issue with the character, where, you know, it's no like surprise that there's characters in many fighting games, if not all, that have weapons all have hurt boxes to balance them out because they, further reach normals than others. However, Menat's basically an exception because it's a floating orb, so it wouldn't really make sense to have a hurt box around it. However, me and Mir feel that she should have some type of hurt box a little further out. We're not necessarily saying the orb is a hurt box, but something more reasonable where it's not ridiculous to the point where Menat is literally, spamming light punch, medium punch, heavy punch on you, and there's absolutely nothing that certain characters can do about it. There's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah. Like, it would make sense, especially for normals like, lights and mediums.
Yeah.
Because of the priority system. So at least, if you're sticking out, say, a crush counter normal, like a heavy normal, and Menat's doing, like I said, a light or a medium, at least you have a chance of beating that normal, you know? Because right now, as it stands, there's no way. Like, you cannot do it. Just because there's no hurt box, so like you're not hitting anything. Yeah. And I understand that people, like you said, they're gonna bring up the fact, but it wouldn't make sense that the orb would have a hurt box. But I mean, from a gameplay standpoint, it's kind of nuts. It's really hard to deal with.
It is nuts. Okay.
So yeah, that would definitely be a change.
So, in regards to her normals, I mean, I understand she becomes weaker when her orb is out. So, the only normal that I kind of had beef with her is her standing heavy punch. I feel like now, I was like, at first, I'm like, man, maybe make it not a crush counter. But now, I'm leaning more towards just having her standing hard punch have increased recovery. It is ridiculous right now. She can heavy punch you, the opponent can block it, and if they jump, she can easily enter them right after. It's just, it recovers too quickly for how far and how powerful it is. A detached crush counter, 2-bar V trigger, knock him full screen. It's just too much. It's too much, man. They need, like I said, either add a better hurt box to it or increase recovery to her staying hard punch with orb.
Yeah, I feel like it should have a lingering hurt box after it moves over.
Yeah.
Where she has extended hands in front of her. So, there should be a big hurt box there, and of course during the move as well, so, at least it can trade with similar strength normals.
Yeah.
And, more recovery, for sure. Because I actually really like the idea that it's a crush counter, because it's not a spin state crush counter, which I despise, by the way, I think I mentioned this before. And it's not a juggle starter, mostly, except for V trigger, but...
Yeah.
I feel like it's a good design for a crush counter. Is just that the normal itself is too good, so it should be nerfed.
Okay. Finally, our last wishlist change is the orb recall. When she sends the orb back, doesn't have this lingering hitbox on the opposite side of her body. Kind of hard to explain without footage, but basically, Menat will call back the orb. You will jump over her, and then all of a sudden you'll get hit by the orb, even though it's coming to her side. Now, I do understand that she has some pretty sick looking combos using this mechanic about her, and I know it will take away some combos, which I don't really want to do it because I don't like to take away the fun of a character when we're doing our wish list. I just, you know what I mean? Like, I want to keep the fun intact.
Yeah, I understand.
But this is too much, I feel, because the problem is that you're trying to get to Menat. She's constantly using the Soul Spark and recalling the orb and keeping you locked down. But then you'll finally make the right read and jump over her as she recalls the orb because she's desperate to get that orb back for defense, right? And then you'll cross her up and then you'll get hit anyways, which leads into a juggle, and then it was all that work for nothing. I find it really frustrating.
Yeah, it's also very weird looking, to be fair. it doesn't look like it should work, but it does.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you should, especially since she is mainly a zoning character, you should be rewarded for taking the risk of a jump in, which is usually death against zoning characters. So if you successfully manage to cross her up, at least you should get something for it instead of her having her be protected by this orb that hits in weird ways. so yeah, I would get rid of that too.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much it for Menat, guys. Not too many changes there. Menat's really powerful in the meta right now, so we have to see what kind of universal changes Capcom does for her. I think the most important change is definitely her V-Trigger 1, though, if we're going to name anything. And like I said, they should really take a look at those hurt boxes, some of her normals, because I just feel that there's characters that, unless they redo their normals, they just have zero chance to deal with her normals. It's too crazy for that kind of... Just because she's just so unique that she's one of the few characters that doesn't have hurt boxes on those normals like that.
Yeah, she's an anomaly in that sense in the fighting game genre, and that's what shaped their gameplay to be what it is right now. Like that's why she can zone so effectively. So I would imagine that change, like alone, would totally make Menat a different character.
Yeah,
we just have to wait and see how that turns out. It's really hard to say on paper, you know.
Yeah. So guys, let us know in the comments below, what do you guys think of Menat? Is she in a good spot right now, or she needs to be toned down slightly? Let us know what you guys would do in the comments below, of course. Guys, do us a solid. Please subscribe to the channel. Of course, like the video. It's about to get really crazy pretty soon. We're coming 1 week away now from Capcom Cup, and I don't know. I have a feeling, man, we got a lot of work to do soon.
Oh yeah,
so enjoy your vacation for now. Okay, guys. Till next time. Take care.